Gorilla greetings and welcome to Willy's Wonderland. Now you may be wondering what exactly this video is. You may be scratching your head while trying to justify how this movie warrants the label of masterpiece. Well, sit down and buckle in, it's time for a ride. Let's start with the man himself, Nick Cage. He's just a motherfucker throughout the entire movie who doesn't give a shit about the horror tropes at play. He says literally nothing, not a single word throughout the entire film. I shit you not, this character has no dialogue. Now you may think that would restrict him in some way, but no, he's like Gordon Freeman or Doom Guy, a video game protagonist in a fucking horror movie. It's genius. This movie has it all. It has everything. The annoying teenagers, people getting ripped apart by animatronic abominations possessed by serial killers or some shit. Blood, gore, sex, violence, and well, this guy. The movie begins with two people being stalked and murdered in Willy's Wonderland by an unseen force, with the It's Your Birthday theme playing in the background. A child witnessing the entire thing. Wow, what a somber tone setter for the movie. Fucking Nicolas Cage, and he's driving around not giving a care in the world. But suddenly his tires are popped by spike strips, all four of them out of nowhere. He gets up and puts the spike strips back into his trunk, the good dude that he is, and we see the first staple of this character's iconography, a mainstay of his mythos, the purple punch. Now, this isn't just any canned drink, it is essential to the story. Not only is it the janitor's main fuel source, but its power is unrivaled under the right circumstances. He then proceeds to stand still for 9 hours. Fucking classic. We're then introduced to another character, Jed, the mechanic who blathers on, a great contrast to Nick himself. The first time I watched this, I had literally no fucking clue what he was saying.
Man, it's like a superhero. Whoa.
Even the sheriff can't seem to get a straight word out of him and seems actively annoyed that she has to continue listening to him speaking. But the gist of what he said is that some kids put these spike strips on the road as a joke, popping his tires. We cut to Liv, another main character, attempting to commit arson in broad daylight. Yeah, that's what she's doing. She's taken in by the sheriff, who spots her near instantly because this town has like 8 buildings in total and 1 road. Still more varied than the average city from The Mandalorian, but not exactly a bustling metropolis. Regardless, the sheriff grabs her and shoves her in the car. Nick meets the sheriff and has a staring contest with Liv while Jed rambles on about the car crash in the background. The one he didn't see because it was at least 8 hours before he showed up, but whatever. There's a bunch of missing posters in the mechanic's shop setting up that something sinister is happening in this town. There's even a warrant from the Springfield police. Nick is told by Jed that he has to pay for all 4 of his wheels to be replaced, as well as $250 for the towing alone, racking up the cost of $1,000. And the real kicker, he has to pay in cash, not with a credit card, and he has to have that money on him, as they have no ATM machines. That's right, well, I mean, actually they do, but they have no internet connection, so they don't work, according to this guy's exposition.
They were gonna get it, but they just didn't.
But the ATM machines are just here because the bank's placed a bunch of ATMs everywhere in advance and never took them back? He could be lying in order to further rope him into the situation, but considering the absolute state of this town, I believe him.
Ain't that a dilly of a pickle?
He asks if Nick is ready to work it off and he complies, creaky leather and all. We meet the town mogul, Doug motherfucking Dimmock. Nah, I'm just kidding, it's Tex McAdoo, who states that they'll fix his car for free if he can clean up the restaurant, to which he agrees. I just fucking love this man, he's so wholesome, he takes everything at face value and just agrees to do it. There's a video introduction of all of the animatronics, headed by Willy the Weasel. Yes, Willy the Weasel.
Willy the Weasel.
Their names are Artie the Alligator, Siren Sarah, Cammy the Chameleon, Gus Gorilla, Nighty Night, Ozzy the Ostrich, and Tito Toidle. We're informed by Tex that some kids climbed over the animatronics and got hurt, so as owner of Willy's he was sued and they were closed down.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
He gives the janitor one last piece of advice, to take regular breaks, and so he sets his watch alarm, puts on a shirt, and there you go, that's his motto for the movie. We're then introduced to our cast of dumbass teenagers, a mainstay of the genre. Their purpose is to bring their blood to Willy's Wonderland so they can spill it all over the floor, and I'm fine with that. We've got Aaron, I think, Dan, don't remember what this guy's name is, he's, and then we've got her, the blondie one. They're all idiots and I hate them. Their very existence is paradoxical. They're in the prime of their youth and they look like typical teenagers, yet they live in this bumfuck town in the middle of nowhere that has no internet and like 8 buildings. Why would any young person continue to live here? No wonder they resort to arson. What else is there even to do here? Back to Nick Cage, he's just cleaning the place, putting his cans in the fridge and getting rid of some trash, getting the job done. Then his watch timer goes off. This, my friends, means it's break time. We are then treated to another piece of majestic iconography, the pinball machine. This is one of the most important characters in the entire film. Not only is it Nicolas Cage's main love interest, but it also has the second most satisfying arc of the entire movie. I just love this reveal shot. He flings the tarp off it, and I swear it's unscripted that he hits the ladle off, but Nick doesn't seem to give a shit and they roll with it. I adore this man. He's so blasé about everything and it's fucking hilarious. He begins to clean the machine up in an oddly suggestive way. You do you, man. And we see the first instance of the animatronics moving about. Nick is just trying to mop this floor and this fucking schmuck just pops out and tries to jump scare him. However, he gives zero fucks. He beats the ever-living shit out of this thing until it is dead and he rips its spine out like a Mortal Kombat fatality. Now this is fucking action. I'm not even kidding when I say that this guy is the most legendarily consistent character that I have ever seen. His motivation? He wants his car fixed. His goal? To clean the restaurant, to do which he will follow instructions to the letter. He will persevere through all of the madness and he will stop at nothing to achieve his goal. But he's got some gunk on his shirt, so he's got to swap that out first. At this stage, I'd like to point out, this movie has an odd editing style in places. It has scenes where stuff happens normally, then sudden quick cuts a la Edgar Wright. I don't get it. There are also random sound effects for random things, like this shirt.
Congratulations. You are officially... Ain't that a deal?
Still less obnoxious than the average Johnny Test episode, but still, a little odd. Nick covers the wound on his face with a piece of electrical tape. Ooh, spooky. Makes you wonder who's really the machine in this movie. Now that's fucking deep. So they send a police officer from another district to help her out, who says that it's odd that they've curfewed a place the size of a postage stamp. The sheriff says that all they have to do is pray that their police phone line doesn't ring, as if the only thing that could possibly happen in this town that would warrant the police is satanic robots, right? Nick tries to clean up the mess that Ozzy left all over the floor and he stuffs his remains into a trash bag. Thus begins his first attempt to leave the building, which unfortunately has been chained shut. Now, this would be the part in the regular horror film where the protagonist would yell out and bang at the door in order to escape. Not this bastard. He literally just wants to take out the trash and then pop back inside to finish his job. He couldn't care less about the demon fuckery inside, he just wants to clean the place. But before that, another break. Which means another oddly sexual montage of the pinball machine being cleaned. Now, I must admit seeing this thing cleaned up is strangely cathartic in its own strange way, but enough of that. The next target is the bathroom, which has markings and graffiti all over the walls. I'm not quite sure how they got there. If this was originally a kids' restaurant, then this wouldn't be appropriate, and I doubt the people being chased by demonic animatronics had time to tag the place. Maybe vagrants and hooligans trashed it, who knows. Nick gets to cleaning, tidying the whole place up in an epic montage, but as he finishes, he hears a familiar song. He's not mad or scared, he's more annoyed than anything as he has to clean this thing again. But there is evil afoot. Gus Gorilla comes out of nowhere and attacks him. I'm not sure how he attacked him from this angle without Nick Cage seeing him up there, but sure. There's a tense brawl before he gets shoved into the cubicle. Unfortunately for Gus, there's an epic tier weapon in there with +5 to strength and dexterity. He rams Monkey against the wall and absolutely destroys him, curb stomping the fuck out of him. And it is at this stage I realized the actual horror of this movie. It makes masterful use of suspense in several key ways. When this movie displays the bathroom, all of the grime coating the walls, the stalls, everywhere, it is setting up an idyllic future where this place is once again spotless. And as I watch in cathartic wonder, Nick Cage cleans it. He cleans the entire area. He even fixes the fucking glory hole in the toilet stall. Then this fucking monkey comes in and ruins all of that, smashing walls, spewing oil everywhere. That is the real horror of this film. The horror of having to clean up a place you've already cleaned. The suspense of wondering how much turmoil the next animatronic will wreak and how much fucking mess it will leave. There's also another type of suspense that can only be gained by going into this movie with no prior knowledge. So, sorry for ruining that for you. But if you watch this with friends who are going in blind, then there is a palpable tension in the air. The feeling that the illusion will be broken, that this man will open his mouth and utter a word, as it would irrevocably change his character if he spoke. Every scene he's in is tense because of this, and the utter restraint the movie shows is admirable. He tends to his wounds the only way he knows how. Fucking tape! And at this stage, we have to talk about his mindset. For Nick, this isn't a haunted building with animatronics attempting to murder him. He couldn't give less of a shit about that. No, for him it's a job. The robots are just another thing he has to clean up, and that's the beauty of it. He's just following his instructions. That's it. It's gorgeous. And as a result, he doesn't carry a weapon around, and unless these things are directly attacking, he'll just go about his day and ignore them. It's great. He could murder all of these at any stage he wants, so instead of wasting time with that, he'd rather just clean shit and let them come to him. The asshole kids show up and start soaking the outside of the building in gasoline, preparing to set it ablaze. However, Nick Cage is still in there. Liv tries to tell him to get out because it's dangerous and he ignores them. Man has cleaning to do. It is then we are presented with a moral quandary. Two choices: to attempt to get his attention again and tell him that he may want to try to escape before the building is burned to the ground, or...
If he want to be cremated, that's his business.
Yeah.
Ah yes, the duality of man. Liv won't stand for this, however, and attempts to get inside the building through the vents. Yeah, great decision. She herself has personal experience with the sacrificial nature of this place, and all of her friends should know about it too. Yet no one thought it pertinent to bring a set of bolt cutters or a hacksaw to get rid of the chain on the front door, or failing that, look for a back entrance. It's not like there's a hardware store in town or anything. Fucking kids ruining my perfect movie. She falls into a hitherto unseen area and is ambushed by Siren Sarah, who yeets her across the room. But it's chill, she's fine. In the next scene, she falls out of nowhere, landing on Nick, who, as usual, seems to give no shits about the situation other than the mess he has to clean up. The other kids have an argument while on the rooftop, and the guy who would rather see Nick Cage burned alive than try harder to warn him says that he's done with this shit and attempts to leave. However, one of his friends tries to stop him. Now, exactly how do you stop a friend of yours from storming off? By saying his name? Maybe reaching out and grabbing his shoulder? Nah, fuck that. Tackle the dude. God damn, no wonder this place got shut down. It's a health and safety nightmare. A light breeze could collapse this inch-thick plaster of Paris ceiling. Liv attempts to stab the siren, but Nick Cage stops her by picking her up. It's brilliant. He knows how durable they are and that stabbing them probably won't do anything, and if they puncture these guys, they'll leak oil everywhere, and who's the one who has to clean it up? Well within reason for his character.
Oh, that's rabies.
We learn what's going on behind these murders in the animated robots, how this place used to be a restaurant owned and staffed by some of the most sick and depraved people possible. He's just fucking vibing. They used to bring people into Willy's Wonderland and murder their kids in the fun room. Thankfully for them, no one seems to really care about this until the place gets real stinky and missing person reports start to pile up. No one seems to care that people are being murdered here until then, prompting the police to send in a freaking SWAT team, good lord. But instead of finding them alive, they find the bodies of the staff and owner who have completed a satanic ritual.
The suicide ritual was some sort of a Katra transfer energy.
Catra!
Sealing their souls inside these 8-foot-tall animatronic demon-looking motherfuckers.
Have you been listening to a word I've been saying?
It's just perfect. It's flawless. He couldn't give a two shit flying fuck about what these people are saying. It's refreshingly amazing. Meanwhile, this guy and the blonde have made their way to the fun room, and she starts getting turned on for some reason. It's odd, but at least the guy comments on it being odd.
Oh, you a freak.
But then the animatronics demand sacrifice, coming alive to sing a song about the amount of chickens in the weasel's den. Talk about a fucking safety hazard, sheesh. Well, that guy's fucked. And while all of this craziness is happening, Nick's just taking a break. He's just vibing out in the kitchen as everyone's getting murdered. It's bananas. There's an amazing sense of duality in this scene. These two are banging in this room while Nick Cage bangs the pinball machine. This plot, it's like a Swiss fucking watch. She comments that the crocodile is watching them do it, and he says this.
Well, then let's give it a show. What you talking about?
I love this dude. They all run and hide in their own little rooms, and one of the kids calls the sheriff's station. Once she figures out that he's in the Wonderland, she hangs up, saying it's a prank call. Then he calls again and says that Liv brought them here. This convinces the sheriff to help them out, and they grab a gun to get ready. Thankfully for our idiotic teenagers, the janitor is back on the clock, and he wants to clean this shit up. So he murders Nighty Night by slamming his head against the wall. Thankfully, his helmet works similar to Stormtrooper armor, in that it increases damage taken from being struck rather than decreasing it, so he gets knocked down and his head gets cut off, execution style. The crocodile animatronic just murders the guy. He bites the dude's neck and this blood just... I mean, I can't really feel sorry for him. He knew this thing was watching him. I mean, come on, what did you expect? You knew what this place was about.
Well, whatever.
So the girl is left to fend for herself and she screams. Liv tries to open the door and fails, so Nicolas Cage just kicks the door in and grapples Artie, ripping his fucking mouth open and pulling his brain out through his jaw. What a mad lad. But they're both dead. Oh well. Meanwhile, Cammy the Chameleon is talking about how he's sad because everyone calls him ugly and makes fun of him, enticing the teen to help him instead of running from him. Yeah, no. You know the backstory of this place. Why would you go anywhere near this fucking thing? You know they have serial murderers inside them. You were there for that speech and you saw a friend of yours get shanked to death by one. Why? Also, how do these things work? Do the souls go inside random animatronics, or do they get to choose which one they go inside? I would presume that our main man Willy would choose to go inside this derpy-ass weasel, and Sombrero Man probably went inside Sombrero Turtle, or did they have to lock in their characters before they killed themselves? Like how I always get the car when I play Monopoly. Or did this guy die last and he got stuck inside the shitty animatronic? Sounds like no one would want to possess this. If I had a choice, I'd go with Nighty Night all the way, man. He's unobjectively the best out of all of them. We hear more backstory about the place from the sheriff. They knew that something bad was happening and told the police, but they thought they were just yokels who believed that evil robots were killing everybody and thus didn't care. And when they tried to demolish it, the head contractor and his family was found dead and no one wanted to take on the job anymore. The authorities didn't even seem to care when a bunch of people started dying in places around town. Surely this would provoke some kind of serial killer investigation? This turn of events led them to forcing a deal, to sacrifice random strangers to the animatronics to keep them sated, protecting the town. We then see the backstory of Liv. She's revealed as the adopted daughter of the sheriff who survived her parents being murdered at the start of the film. Why the sheriff thought giving her a doll to sleep with was a good plan and how she met these schmucks, I have no fucking idea. Not that it matters, cause they're all dead now. Ha! Nick walks back in and witnesses the guy being murdered, his neck snapped. He readies his fighting stance in order to destroy the threat to the building's sanitation, but his watch goes off so he leaves. This movie is a fucking masterpiece. So while we don't see the 15 or so minutes of her fighting and evading this thing, enough time passes and Nick Cage finishes his break, strangling the chameleon with a rope and dragging it into this hallway, ready to clean up. Hey, that's our friend down there. Can you please give him back? Okay, this is fucking amazing. Nick Cage Terminator walks to the entrance and attempts to get the door open so he can take out the trash. And the sheriff comes in with a gun pointed at him, saying that he has fucked everything up and that he shouldn't continue to roam free. They cuff him and leave him, a sacrifice to be devoured, while Liv gets taken back to the sheriff's car, at which point she asks a very strange question.
Is that what you did to my parents?
Wait, what? What do you mean? You were fucking there. How would you not know? How would this not have come up in conversation before? So Nick Cage whacks the jukebox, kicking off a southern rendition of Heads, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. What, you think I'm fucking making this up? We prepare for the ultimate showdown. Nick versus the Siren and Cammy. They stand off. It's fucking epic. Then Nick just starts spazzing out. He just fucking starts spazzing out. What the actual fuck is happening? Why is it turning purple? Holy shit. This is by far the greatest moment in the entire film. There is no context that could explain this. There is no reason for him doing this. He just does it. I swear, Nick is one of the only actors who could pull this role off convincingly. He somehow brings the same energy and camp of a standard Nick Cage performance to this role, despite not saying a single word throughout. It's absolutely flawless, second only to his magnificent acting in the surreal and deeply profound movie Vampire's Kiss.
I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
Anyway, Liv berates the cop, saying that he'll be a murderer if he doesn't help her out. That she was trying to burn the place down and he's just as bad as the cultists that feed the animatronics by doing this. Not that it goes anywhere because he gets attacked by the sombrero-wearing animatronic which somehow possesses long-range teleportation powers despite only using them once in this singular instance. Inconsistency, you say?
Laughable, man!
We abruptly cut back and forth between the attack and Nick Cage's fight. He shoulder barges and headbutts these two chumps and snaps Sarah's neck between his thighs. Then he rips his fucking handcuffs apart and snaps the neck of the other animatronic, spinning it almost fully around. Good lord, it's like the more purple punch he drinks, the more power he gains. Meanwhile, Liv attempts to shoot Tito Toidle, but it took her bullets, so she beats the shit out of it with the gun instead. I love how these robots are only as powerful as the scene needs them to be, never more, never less. It's wonderfully consistent. She busts his balls and begins walking back to the Wonderland. Fuck taking the shotgun and bullets, fuck taking the car, she walking. If Nick Cage did this it would be completely normal, but not this chick. She's just really stupid. So Nick Cage puts another shirt on and starts cleaning again. That's right, he just gets back to it. Now that is fucking character consistency. He cleans up the entire place, bags all of the bodies and the animatronics. He even fixes the table and the hole in the roof the kids came through. Dedication. He walks up to Willy, presumably to give him a thorough clean, but break time. So he starts drinking his punch and fucking the pinball machine, doing this dance. He's getting really into it at this point, with the simultaneous culmination of the romance and sanitation arcs resulting in a glorious flourish of Nick Cage goodness. It couldn't be better. He throws his can in the trash and gets back to work, his final job being the removal of the last animatronics. The sheriff that had been waiting out here all night watches him come out and he just waves at her, the absolute hench. He is a master of forgiveness and we could all learn a thing from him. What a wholesome king. However, she doesn't see it as such. She pulls the shotgun on him and yells for him to return back inside. Dude, he was just getting inside already. What is wrong with you, you jerk, you big meanie? I don't even understand her motives anymore. He single-handedly demolished almost every possessed robot in here, so what's the issue? She says that it will only incite them more, and if the movie had gone the route of killing them will result in their souls being released into the world, this would have made more sense, but nope, she's just an idiot. And you know what happens to idiots in this movie? We begin the boss fight with Nick getting shorn by Willy, the most powerful of them all. He makes use of the dazing and mess-making properties of confetti to momentarily stun Nick, resulting in him being knocked into the ball pit and left for dead. However, he survives. This motherfucker has made the biggest mess of them all, and he must pay. And this time it's personal. He grabs his sodas and puts them into a bag, taping 2 broom handles together and getting ready for the final showdown. That's right, he has to sacrifice his favorite drink to defeat this evil. It's absolutely heart-wrenching. But after much tribulation, the nightmare is over. Well, almost. He still has to clean the place. In the morning, Nick's car is returned and they prepare to enter the building to retrieve his body, but little do they know, he has completed his part of the deal. Also, surprisingly, Sarah survived their neck snapping and is back for vengeance. He comes out to meet them with Freebird playing in the background as he leaves. Get it? Because he's now free as a bird? Fuck, this movie's good. Meanwhile, Liv arrives on foot instead of just driving the police car. No wonder it took her all night, she freaking walked. She gets into his car and they drive off. Then both of them die to Sarah. She blows them, herself, and Willy's up. It's amazing. All of the loose ends in this movie are tied off. The kids dead, the sheriff dead, everything else blown to fuck. Perfect. And the janitor can drive his Chrysler around once more, tentatively sharing a can of his purple punch with Liv. And somehow the reflection of this explosion is in his glasses, despite the fact that he's miles away and not even facing in that direction. That's how fucking cool he is. Then he murders the last one left with his car. So this movie was a trip, and I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I want to give a special mention to the director, Kevin Lewis, who 2 weeks before this movie's release battled for his life in hospital, but he persevered through it and survived, just as his magnificent creation, The Janitor, did too. A toast to you, good sir. I implore everyone, well, everyone of the legal age to watch this. Go and rent this film, watch it with some buddies and have a good time, you've earned it. This was a short one, but once again, I appreciate each and every person that makes it to the end of one of my videos, and I look forward to seeing you next time.